from Hamburg and Switzerland to the rest of the world. My name is Ines Kaps, and I'm super excited to have you here on our second LinkedIn Live. I'm joined with the passionate Valentina, and
Hi.
we are talking about high performing teams. So, Valentina, thank you so much for taking the time on sharing your expertise. And my first question to you, because you love building high performing teams,
Yes.
why are you so passionate about it?
Um, well, first, thank you for having me on the live, Venus. I'm glad that I get to have this interesting and exciting chat on a Monday morning. It's a good start for the week. I think we should do more of. Everybody should start the Monday with a live about a passionate topic. It gives a different charge to the week. Why am I passionate about high performing teams and why teams are so important? I think two things. One, I before leaving corporate, I was for 17 years in big companies and in corporations, and I always worked in teams. But to be fair, I also was part of teams and worked in teams and collaborated in teams outside work, like all of my no-profit efforts, endeavors, organization, association. It's all a team. Even when normally you go to a sport league, it's a team. And there's two reasons why I love high-performing teams. One, because especially in a business setting, everybody loves high performance. High performance means that you get to achieve more with less time and you get to have a life. If you're performing high, if your team is a high performing team, you don't have to work on weekends. You don't have to stress out at night for the deadlines. You can, as a leader, you know you can rest. You know you don't have to worry about things being done. You don't have to micromanage. I hate it. I hate me. And just knowing that the team performs, it relaxes me. Like I don't have to worry about it. I get this zen by knowing my team is performing. Um, but besides the results, I think the reason why I love high performing team is the atmosphere. There is one thing that you notice or that I noticed when I'm part of a high performing team. And those are the teams, either as a leader or when I was a member of them in more junior position, that I didn't want to leave. I did not want to get a different job, no matter how hard the hours were, or potentially unclear some things on top leadership were, or I don't know, the hardship of travel, whatever it was. Even career advancement, not so fast as I would have liked. I was reluctant to say, okay, I'm looking outside because I wanted to stay with the team. High performing team has great communication, has a great spirit. Otherwise, you can't be high performing. So high performance is a result of high atmosphere, great team dynamic. And when you have great team dynamic, you just want to show up at work on Monday. Or sometimes you even text your teammates on Thursday, Friday, Saturday because you just have that dynamic. And it makes it worth it. And for me, that was one of the number one things to be actually motivated and engaged to show up at work, either because I was a teammate and I was going to work with my team, or when I was leading it, because I was excited. I wanted to see what the team was going to deliver. I wanted to help them through the progress. I wanted to help them achieve their career. I wanted this open communication. Even when I was their bosses, get their boss and getting into a meeting, and I'm like, okay, give me feedback. What can we do differently? That exchange, it's energizing to me. And then, of course, the organization is happy because you deliver.
Yeah, I mean, I've also worked in high performing teams, and what you just really said was spot on. It's the atmosphere, it's the spirit, it's the open communication. Not only when things are sunshine and roses, but also when it's getting tough, and you have this trust amongst each other that you can really raise difficult questions, and you don't. I mean, it's this, yeah, I think trust and the passion that you bring to the table. And when you just previously said working long hours, I never realized the hours because we had fun. We really had fun working together, and
Exactly.
we were all always excited to come together, to work together, to achieve the results. We really, not always, but we also experienced the flow.
And I mean, I don't know if you'd be surprised or not. Maybe some of the listeners or viewers would be surprised that when that goes away, people will leave jobs to find that atmosphere again. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been in at least two cases, two examples where, because of some people that were driving such team dynamics, left the company
Mm.
within a space of 6 to 9 months. The rest of the team followed
Yeah.
to recreate the same team dynamic in a different company. No matter the benefits, no matter the salary, of course, you can have all of this discussion, but at some point, people are just going to be like, do I want more money and not have that atmosphere?
Hmm.
Or am I going to go and look back for what I missed, especially after you had it? And I've seen cases at least twice where, as I said, a couple of people left, and within 6 months, the whole team was gone,
Mm.
recreated in a different place,
Yeah.
because it was just not the same working in a different environment, and people didn't want that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely true. I mean, you mentioned several times it's good communication.
mhm,
What is, let's say, the basis of high performing teams?
mhm,
And then we discussed previously about the term drama, and it's
yes.
provocative, and I have seen challenges and conflicts and some situation where I just thought this guy is very dramatic, that he puts a lot of drama on the table. Um, what do you see? What do you define as drama in a team, and how can we eliminate drama?
So my relationship with the word team drama, I use it a lot. It's in my headlines, and I use it a bit in a provocative way. As I said, it's a very conflicting relationship,
Yeah.
um, because I've always tried to have diverse team and be part of diverse team, diversity of
Mm.
people, of thoughts, of genders, of whatever you name, personality, way of thinking, everything. And at the same time, I also worked for some companies where what at the time was called as a very strong company and team culture was the norm, meaning uniform way of thinking, uniform way of acting, and any deviation to that was cause for drama. And I use the word drama because that's the word that was used. And I've noticed, again, in my very um, unscientifical study based on a sample size of 5 companies and maybe 20 teams over 17 years, that, and the people that I've worked with and I talk to these days, that um, the complaint that very often we hear when we start bringing diversity in teams is that it becomes a drama. There starts to be team drama. And somehow that word is often associated with conflict of communication,
Mhm.
intercultural differences, uh, difference of thinking, of behaving related to minority people
Mhm.
or women, which are not minorities, but nevertheless, we are often considered or underrepresented, let's say, in the workplace
Mhm.
in a team. Again, as I said, don't quote me on a scientific study on this, but I have never seen the word drama being used when there were teams of 95% men
Mhm.
arguing with each other. I've seen fists being slammed on tables. I've seen people slamming chairs and slamming doors and leaving. There was never the word drama being used. The word drama ended up when it was more about emotions,
Mhm.
communications, people getting offended by something that was said, people not understanding the intention. And so, to me, the reason why I talk about eliminating team drama is two ways. It's one, it means that we need to have an open enough communication across the team where everybody is able to understand everybody else without um, emotion escalation.
Mhm.
anger, whatever it is, without feeling disrespected, without letting cultural difference sometimes raise to point of microaggressions or people feeling excluded or whatever there is. So that's an important point. But for
Mhm.
me, the other aspect of that, when I mean eliminating drama, it's also the fact that I would love to achieve a point where every emotion is just seen as a communication issue that needs to be solved, a team dynamic that needs to be solved. Right now, we're still often in a situation where anger is not considered an emotion.
Mm.
So when somebody, more often than not men, and this has happened also to women, I'm not saying not, it has happened to me when I got angry, for example, that was okay, that's passion. She cares
Mm.
about the topic, he cares about the topic. Where when there is another emotion in display, uneasiness, being upset, feeling mystery, whatever it is that's not anger, then it becomes drama because drama equals emotion. And
Mm.
I would love to reach a point where a, of course, this misunderstanding don't happen because we know how to communicate and deal with conflict. But two, when they do happen, they're just seen as another day in the office, no matter what the emotion is.
Mm.
Rather than if you get angry is okay, if you get emotional about, I don't know, a gender insensitive comment or a race insensitive comment or whatever it is, then it becomes drama. That's the other way I would like to eliminate that terminology from being
Yeah.
used in the workplace.
So do I understand you correctly that you don't say that drama per se is negative? Because I mean, emotions happen and they are there,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
we're in a team, and also as a leader, your job is to manage those emotions, to put them on the table, and as you also said, in a respectful way, because it's okay to be angry, it's okay to feel sorry or treated badly. It's essential to put it on the table and being able to communicate them respectfully so that we can move on. And
Mhm.
I think it's also some the essence of high performing teams that they accept those emotions and use them as a fuel to even get closer and
Yes,
getting
you,
even more high performing.
you're getting it exactly spot on. I mean, one thing I used to do with my teams, I still do with my teams, and I do in the coaching that I do or anything else, is actually I advocate for what sounds sometimes counterintuitive, which is
Hmm.
comfortable with conflict. But
Hmm.
not like conflict. We don't talk about, I don't teach conflict management as a way to de escalate the hostage negotiation situation. I talk
Hmm.
about being comfortable, but of course, knowing how to handle it, it's a
Yeah.
key, but just being comfortable with having conflict.
Yeah.
I ask the team to bring up every single thing they don't agree on, they didn't like, they potentially got upset about almost on a daily basis.
Hmm.
Not because I want drama, but because the more you handle something on a daily basis, the more you normalize it, the
Yeah.
less of an event it becomes. It's the only thing that I was able to find to compare it to is with my daughter, which is 7. You know, if I give her chocolate or ice cream once a year, then it's going to become this big deal. When can I have it? Oh my God, is it going to be okay? Is it
Yeah.
not going to be okay? And if it's something which is constantly there and you have a little bit of it every day, it's ice cream again. I don't want it. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
it's a non-event. And
Yeah.
so for me, what's important is that teams get to the point where conflict of opinion, divergent opinion, are so natural in the discussion. There is no
Hmm.
drama.
Hmm.
Something that was said didn't go down well because of cross-cultural issues. I mean,
Yeah.
we work in international teams. We
Yeah.
all speak a language most of the time that's not ours.
Hmm.
We don't even see each other often. I work with people that I've never met in person beyond a Slack message for years. So it's hard to understand the context
Yeah.
sometimes. Do they mean it well? Do they not? What is it? there's going to be misunderstanding. Now I can bottle it up,
Yeah.
pretend, keep worrying about it, let it take space in my mind, either because I'm upset about it, I don't understand it, I'm second guessing whatever was it,
Mm.
or I can
Mm.
just put it out there and say, hey, what did you mean by that?
Yeah.
Or somebody says something more practical, let's beyond, and it goes beyond just cross-cultural communication about um, gender comment, race comment, ethnicity. Sometimes it's just even work related. You make a comment and give feedback
Mm.
about a project and a piece of work, and the way I give feedback, because of the way my culture is, my personality is, whatever it is, it's not the same way somebody else wants to receive feedback. And if I'm a great manager or a great leader, eventually I learn and I spend time with the team and I have a talk about what works best for you, what type of
Mm.
feedback, and all of this. At the same time, even if I do that, or before I do that, I'm going to give feedback in a way that somebody is not going to like, and they're going to take it personally, or they're going to think everything is a disaster, or whatever it is. Then tell me.
Mm.
Don't bottle it up. Let's discuss it. Move
Yeah,
on.
and I think the most important question you just raised, and I think that this will be a beautiful tip for all the viewers, is what do you mean by that? And
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very open, respectful question, and then you can clarify, and then I say, yeah, but I understood it differently, and then all this internal drama that you're building yourself because you're making this huge
Mhm.
mountain of whatever emotion comes down to a what do you mean by that,
Yeah.
and can you explain please? So yeah.
And 90% of the time, it's going to be that easy. I'm also
Mm.
not going to lie to anybody here. There's going to be that 10% of the time where the what do you mean by that is going to lead to an uncomfortable situation. That's
Yeah.
why I'm saying the more you get ready and practice talking about things that are uncomfortable, that you don't
Mm.
like, in a respectful way with your team, the more you're going to be ready when you say, what do you mean by that? And the person in front of you didn't mean it in a good way.
Mm.
Maybe they really meant it in a misogynistic way or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And you're going to have a tough conversation there. But
Mm.
then you're going to be used to it because you've had this conversation. This topic is not going to be so big in your head. You're going to have practice handled different point of views than your own so often that it becomes an easy thing. If you deal with 10 conflict a day, and by conflict, as I said, I'll use it in a large way, 10
Mhm.
different ideas, 10 different interpretation in a team on a daily basis. When you need to come up with the next innovation and you brainstorm,
Mm.
and I don't know, 4 out of 5 are really negative, and people have strong opinion about that,
Yeah.
you're not going to need 2 weeks to rebuild the team confidence and the team
No.
trust because everybody gets offended that they don't talk to each other. And trust me when I say 2 weeks is based on a real life experience of a team that
Yeah.
never argued, except that then we had to pick up the next innovation idea. Feedbacks were shared and people got so personally offended by this because they didn't know how to handle it. We all got along perfectly until then.
Mm.
It became a personal attack. It took 2 weeks to get people to actually talk to each other again.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's 2 weeks of, I don't know, if you want to put it bluntly on results, it's 2 weeks of productivity wasted. And
And I would also say probably longer, because it's if it's 2 weeks of people not talking to each other, I mean, you will take probably even more than 2 weeks so that the team is again working in a very productive and trustful manner. So
yes,
you
and
have
a lot of time
probably yeah. Yeah.
of the manager, and a lot of time of
Yeah.
the leader, and a lot of, and when you just have this discussion on a daily basis,
Mm.
it's a discussion. So
Yeah.
what? We move on. It's work. You get actually stronger for it because you don't start wondering, is that person actually saying things behind my back?
Mm.
Can I actually trust what they're saying? You
Mm.
don't, you know exactly what the other person is thinking
Yeah.
because they tell you to your face, right? Either they agree or not on a daily basis. So you have a better trust in your team.
Mhm.
Um, I have a better trust in the ideas that come up because I
Mhm.
know from myself, as a team leader back then, I have a better trust on my own ideas because I know if I have a really, really bad, unfeasible idea, which, as much as I love to think that never happens to me, it does happen to me. It happens to everybody. I know that it doesn't matter from the most junior person to the most senior person. Somebody will tell me, and we are not going to
Yeah.
spend 5 weeks working on something just because I said it, right? So there's this trust on, are we going to do something? Do we all agree? Is it a good idea? Are we missing something really basic? Because of course you make mistakes when you innovate, but
Mhm.
are we missing something really, really that we could have spotted? I don't have to worry
Mhm.
about that because I know the team speaks up. So I know the quality of what we're going to work on. It's already X% higher. Because if it
Mhm.
was really bad, they would have said it. And without that communication, when you start fearing the feedback, the drama, the can I say something, can I not, then you also have the whole risk that you spent weeks working on stuff that, well, actually, I didn't think it was such a great idea from the beginning. Yeah, why didn't you say so?
Mhm.
That's the culture. So
Yeah.
it's a bit where I'm coming from and why I'm encouraging people to argue on a daily basis, more or less.
And I think you, as the owner of Coco Consulting, I mean, listening to you, I can see so many, benefits in working with you. So I'm sure that the companies who enjoy working with you will, really have the potential to build really, really good teams.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
hope so.
getting close
Hmm.
to our ending of our conversation. So
Yeah.
my last question would be, I mean, you have such a fascinating career. What is your advice to your younger self?
Oh, do I have to pick only one? Can I give two?
No, you can give as many as you want.
Okay. Um, okay, advice number one, and this is out there for my career making, life changing coach. And I give it to myself, which is negotiate every single offer you're given. Every single one. Just don't accept them. Always go negotiate. And if you don't know how to negotiate it, learn it. So that's my first advice. And it's not just for work, it's in life, just generally. Um, Again, and it's a matter of self confidence at
Yeah.
the end, right? Because it gives knowing that I can go out there and discuss and negotiate whatever it's put in front of me when I think about career and work advice. I just see my younger self feeling that uh, I didn't have agency on my career. I didn't have always the active choices. Sometimes it felt like I have to take this job. I
Mhm.
have to take this promotion. I have to take this internal move. Otherwise, you know, those things you hear, those myths you hear, if you say no to the internal move, you're going to be put as unpromotable and you can't
Mhm.
say no to what the leadership propose. And so I accepted it. I mean, it turned out fine for me. It turned out great for me. I mean, I had a really, really good corporate career until I decided to leave it. Um, Yet at some point, I just felt like it wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
And when you go in a role that you feel is not your choice, doesn't matter how great of a person you are, you can give 120, 150, which I always did. I'm
Mhm.
sure that if there, and I had great performance all the time, right? It's not that. It's just, I'm sure I would have been even better performer
Mhm.
if I felt it was my choice, what I
Mhm.
wanted.
Yeah.
And so negotiating, discussing, having a saying what's offered in your career at the end gives you back not just the salary, the extra money, or whatever it is that you get, but it gives you back the agency of saying, I've discussed, I've made my point, and now I'm making the conscious decision of saying, yes, I'm going here, or no, thank you. And that makes a self assurance
Mm.
change
So
in my mind.
you're owning your career.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
own my career by actively negotiating because I felt I
Mhm.
owned my career. I felt like, of
Mhm.
course, I own my career. I'm in a big company and I'm looking outside. But when I'm looking, I didn't like some things and I look outside. But when I look outside because I didn't like some things, and I was too scared of a conflict to actually bring it up inside. Am I
Mm.
owning my career, or am I just owning my escape route?
Mm.
You know, I owned my career with 50% less options
Yeah.
because I was too scared of looking inside
Yeah.
and explore and come up as a difficult person. So that's the one thing, which is like, own your career, but own it completely,
Yeah.
180, or however you say it, right? Um, so that's the one thing. And then the other thing that I would tell myself is, and I would give as an advice to myself, is not, again, to take my own advice of now, because to get to the point where I'm comfortable with conflict management, when I'm
Mm.
comfortable with speaking up, when I'm comfortable of saying, what do you mean by that? Or
Mm.
I'm comfortable stopping, asking that on behalf of people around me, when there where
Mm.
something doesn't sound right. It's the result of years of not doing that.
Yeah.
And it's the results of years not doing that. It's the results of years, listening to what to me was microaggression. I would never
Mm.
know. Was it a microaggression? Was it a gender based comment of,
Mm.
certain jobs are not jobs for ladies or not jobs for girls? I mean, I will never know. Is that a
Yeah.
gender stereotype
Yeah.
or not? Because I never asked. So I will never know. To me, they were perceived as microaggressions. They were perceived as um, exclusion acts because
Mm.
of my race, my ethnicity, my gender, sometimes my parental status for having
Mhm.
kids or whatever it is, right? The reality is that's my perception. And I
Mhm.
will never know at this point if it's true or not,
Yeah.
because I never challenged it. I
Yeah.
never said, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And I never said, when people said, well, I don't know, what's your childcare situation with working late? I never challenged that question. I never challenged the comment. I never made any point about, well, you're quiet for an Asian person, and then, but your leadership skills are not really there. Like, I
Mm.
never asked. So, my other advice to myself would be, get comfortable with asking uncomfortable questions, get comfortable with having conflict, get comfortable with dealing with it day in and day out, so that I don't get emotional when I discuss this now. I
Mm.
used to get very emotional when I discussed it when I was younger, because,
Mm.
again, I didn't know how to handle it. It was very personal because that was my feeling towards it. It had been maybe bubbling up in my mind for years, until the point that I really hit the discussion point. And
Mhm.
then, I don't know, maybe I didn't handle it as well as I could have in terms of emotional reactions,
Yeah.
over escalating. And I wish I would have just known and trained myself to have this, to call it out and to have this open discussion without turning into a conflict all the time, because I would have spared myself a lot of, self doubt in terms of, um, some of the things that happened to me from, and it goes, I mean, I think for minorities and for women, it goes every direction. You get promoted, is it because of a quota? Do I not get
Yeah.
promoted, is it because I'm having, so you can't win, right? These thoughts are always going to be in your head
Yeah.
if you don't get comfortable asking. So that would be my other advice to
Yeah.
myself.
I mean, I can see all your advice leading to what you're doing now, and it's just such a beautiful learning journey that you have shared with us today.
Thanks.
Valentina, thank you so much for your passion. Thank you so much for your time, and really, I love the conversation with you. And I hope this
Thank
passionate, conversation also opens up a wonderful week for you and for all
Thanks.
who is listening and watching this LinkedIn Live.
Yeah,
Have a
I
wonderful day and take care.
thank you, Ines, for the opportunity, and to whomever is watching, have a great rest of the week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.